what the Federal Reserve is doing right now is they're taking money out of circulation. They're saying they're reducing their balance sheet, but really what they're doing is they're reducing the amount of currency in circulation. So the United States is doing it now. Other countries have tried it. There's a lot of stuff going on with currency. Venezuela had a hard time with it. India, they just took that money out of circulation pretty much overnight. And there's different types of implementation with regards to currency. And that is basically what we're going to be talking about on the foundation. And we understand, or hopefully we'll understand, that the International Monetary Fund is, along with the Bank of International Settlements, is like the central bank for central banks. So let's remember that. And why does this matter to us? Because we not only exchange our labor, but we also purchase goods and services and potentially investments and attempt to save in currency. We all do. I don't care. People say, oh, so, I know you do trustee training. Can I send you an instrument with the no, man? No. But why are you accepting Federal Reserve notes? Because I don't have a Treasury direct account. I'm not negotiating instruments. I don't understand that stuff yet. And I've seen indictments, piled high of people that I know, kind of knew, and knew through other people or heard of, trying to do all this stuff. The reason why I accept Federal Reserve notes is because that's what you have. And if I ask you to send me gold, you never call me back again. So, no, I don't negotiate this stuff. I do accept Federal Reserve notes. We understand, those in the private, that it's used to service debt. And what we don't use to service debt, that's the surplus of the income that's denominated in this medium of exchange, this particular currency. And we understand that currency is deflating. Some would say hyper-deflating and losing value by the minute. So we're looking to exchange out of currency as soon as possible into tangible assets with any surplus in currency after facilitating debt and purchasing, food. And, people say, debt, what about food? I consider food, if you go to the grocery store, that's still debt. Because you're technically, when you go to the front counter with that cart full of stuff, you're in debt for how much they're going to scan it and they're going to ask for a bill. Try to run out the store with that cart without, servicing that debt. But I feel like I'm running out of time, so I'm going to keep it moving. This is a pretty in-depth paper by the International Monetary Fund. It's called a working paper. It's WP-17-71 or /17/71 if you want to look it up. Anyone who is on the email list or sign up to the email list at welcometothefoundation.com, I will email you this paper. I'm going to send it out to all email subscribers tomorrow. It's just like 20-some pages. It's nothing big, and they're really speaking in pretty much plain English. And the reason why I be checking this stuff is because I like to know what they're doing. But I almost fell when I saw this paper. And they're talking about the macroeconomics of decashing. Now, I went to school for, business and marketing, and I took, business school, you got to take a microeconomics class, a macroeconomics class, and a lot of other ones. So, these types of classes, I understood it. I understand what macroeconomics is. Like macroeconomics is the economic functioning of, like, let's say the United States as a whole, like the whole thing. Microeconomics are like the functioning of economics for, like, let's talk about Microsoft because, that's within the whole. So those are microeconomics, Microsoft and Google and how that economy within that specific business or those businesses function is kind of like a microcosm of the grand scale of the United States economy or the economics. So the macroeconomics of decashing. I'm serious. This is the name of this paper. It was put out in 2017, in March 2017. So I'm about a year late. It says the IMF working papers describe research, in progress by the author or authors and are published to elicit comments and to encourage debate. The views expressed in IMF working papers are those of the authors and do not necessarily represent the views of the IMF, its executive board, or the International Monetary Fund management. So there's a disclaimer, first and foremost. The reason why there's a disclaimer, they don't want us to know They don't want the general population, us, the laborers, the blue-collar workers, to know what they're doing with these economic policies. And they want it to happen slowly so we don't get all upset. And they even say civil unrest in this piece. So I'm gonna go through this, like I said, the macroeconomics of decashing. Decashing is defined as a gradual phasing out of currency from circulation and its replacement with convertible deposits. The initiative does not in any way target the abolition of money as an institution, but is rather a sweeping reduction of the role of currency, cash component, in favor of transferable deposits. It's non-cash components. So we're talking about deposits like bank deposits. Think of like PayPal, or like you got a bank deposit, you can do a bank transfer, or you can do a debit card swipe. We're talking about bank deposits versus cash, like having cash in your hand, physical currency. The monetary authorities in many countries have already taken steps toward decashing. These steps include abolishing large denomination bills, imposing ceilings on cash transactions, introducing declaration requirements on the carriage of cash in and out of the country. That happens here, $10,000, you got to declare that in and out of the country. You don't, it's a felony. A lot of people think you can't walk around with $10,000 in cash on you. You can, but, police might take it. You're going to have to, produce a bill of sale or, produce something to show them that it's yours. Otherwise, they got some seizure stuff. It's all civil. It's weird, but it is what it is. Reporting requirements for cash payments exceeding a specific amount and even taxing cash transactions. The purpose of this paper is to suggest a simple framework for the analysis of the macroeconomics and the macroeconomic implications of decashing. Starting from traditional savings, investment, balance, the paper develops a four-sector macroeconomic framework, which allows for the tracing of key implications of decashing for any country. The macroeconomic framework is then disaggregated into real, fiscal, monetary, and external sectors of the national economy and the rest of the world. The paper is not meant to take a view in favor or against decashing in an ongoing debate. But, they put a lot of reasons why this stuff is good. They go on to list the use of cash, different sectors of paper currency. They say the use of cash differs substantially depending on the denomination. Low denomination banknotes are used mainly for small daily transaction, whereas high denomination banknotes represent the bulk of currency in circulation, but are not generally used for cash transactions. High denomination banknotes, although dominant in the cash turnover, mainly perform the monetary function of the store of value. Such banknotes, talking about the United States, 50 to 100, the euro 50 to 500, the Japanese 5,000 to 10,000 yen, and the Swedish 500 to 1,000. They represent 80 to 90% of the currency in circulation, though are rarely used in daily cash payments. For daily transactions, small denomination banknotes are most common means of payment. All right, we got that. Large denomination banknotes pose institutional risks. Check this out. First, they are an important vehicle for money laundering. The larger value of the banknote makes it easier to transport larger amounts of money. As an example, y'all know how much $1 million weighs? 22 pounds. Whereas $1 million in $100 bills, 22 pounds. I learned that from a movie called Haven. It's a cold movie. I liked it. It's old, though. And $1 million in 5,000 euro notes weighs less than 3 pounds. Second, large denomination banknotes are more often forged. The U.S. Treasury considered reissuing its U.S. $500 banknote when the euro $500 banknotes began circulating. However, after the recognition that such banknote would fuel worldwide criminals, it was decided not to pursue this option. They talk about how cashless transactions have been across the world. The Federal Reserve estimates that in 2016, cashless transactions, like, stuff with debit cards and your phone and stuff, amounted to $617 billion. That's in 2016 from only $60 billion in 2017. That's crazy. That's over $500 billion extra in 10 years. In 2015, cash transaction made barely 2% of the value of all payments. That's made in Sweden. Let me get to this juicy stuff, because there's a lot of this stuff in here. The authorities of many countries have already taken the initial steps to limit cash transactions. First, some decided to abolish large denomination bills. In 2016, the European Central Bank took the decision to abolish the 500 euro banknote, mainly out of concern for counterfeiting and money laundering. In other countries, high denomination notes have been eliminated in recent years. Canada's $1,000 note was eliminated in the year 2000. Singapore had a $10,000 note, took it out in 2014. In Sweden, all older banknotes and coins except the 10 krona coin was invalid by the end of 2017. And some of the banknotes and coins were not replaced by new ones. Think of it. Calls to scrap the United States $100 bill, the most widely used currency note in the world, have been heard in the United States. Second, authorities in some countries have introduced restrictions on cash payments. This is important. They're currently placed in 12 of 28 European Union member states or countries. In Israel, a special committee recommended a 3-phase plan to restrict the use of cash, limit the use of checks as a mean of payment in exchange for cash, and promote the use of electronic means of payment. Any violation of these limits would be criminal offense. Third, the reporting and declaration requirement on carrying cash has been in place in many countries. For example, the United States, it's contrary to Title 26 of the U.S. Tax Code to carry more than $10,000 into the country without reporting it. A similar requirement is now in place in the European Union. The private sector also seems to prefer to do away with cash. I don't like the sound of that. I don't prefer to do away with cash. I'll be honest, at least not at this point, because I don't know anyone that's willing to pay me in gold and silver. They're talking about businesses in the Eurozone. Swedish buses have not taken cash for years. It's actually impossible to buy a metro ticket with cash. Retailers are legally entitled to refuse coins and notes. Street vendors and even churches increasingly prefer card or phone payments. All right, in monetary statistics, cash is synonymous to currency. Look at this is a correlation. It's cold. I really like whoever, the guy that wrote this was, he's obviously very smart and he's a very learned man, because I like how he breaks this down right here. In the strict sense, currency refers to notes and coins, which are financial instruments. Y'all pick that up? Currency and coins, notes, they're financial instruments of fixed nominal values issued or authorized by central banks or governments. Domestic currency is given the status of legal tender by the Constitution or other relevant law, which generally requires its mandatory acceptance in the country. The value and credibility of a currency depend on the ability of the state to support it. Even though this is not the case in all countries, for instance, the Indian rupee is legal tender in Nepal and Bhutan, in addition to its own domestic currency. And that's just because they accept it. Currency in circulation is the amount of currency outside the central bank, held by all residents and non-residents. Currency is a part of money. Money is a broader concept than currency. In addition to notes and coins, money also includes certain types of assets or instruments that are readily convertible into such banknotes and coins. For example, transferable deposits. They love this stuff. And short-term deposits. Money is issued generally by central banks. The issuance of money can take the forms of increasing the commercial bank's deposits at the central bank or transporting of currency to the vaults of commercial banks. Transferable deposits have characteristics similar to currency. Transferable deposits are exchangeable for currency on demand at par, without penalty or restriction, and directly usable for making payments to third parties by check, draft, order, direct debit, credit, or other direct payment facility. Check this out. The amount of currency placed into circulation relative to deposits is determined by what? By demand for currency. Currency demand is determined by the bank's clients, who establish the amount they would like to have in the form of deposits and cash. The central bank places currency into circulation when it transports the currency to a commercial bank. To account for this transaction in its balance sheet, the central bank reduces the transferable deposits of the commercial bank and increases currency in circulation. Check this out. Next, the electronic money is a special case of transferable deposits and is classified as deposits rather than currencies. Check this out. Electronic money is a special case of transferable deposits and is classified as deposits rather than currency. All types of electronic money issued by residents that can be used for direct payments to third parties are included in broad money as transferable deposits. Electronic money is a payment instrument whereby monetary value is electronically stored either on a physical device or a remotely stored server. To qualify as electronic money, the payment instrument must be usable for making payments to third parties. While currency has only physical security features, electronic money uses cryptography to authenticate transactions and protect the confidentiality and integrity of the data processing. Confidentiality and integrity of the data processing, not of the individual. I peeped that. Yes, I did. For instance, credit cards or debit cards are not electronic money because no monetary value is stored on them. Did y'all know that? Yo, the International Monetary Fund says your credit card is not money. So if the credit card company says they gave you money, but with limited use to only the issuing stores. Internet-based currency, such as Bitcoins, is not electronic money because it does not meet the definition of currency. And that definition is issued by a central bank or government. So that's why they say Bitcoin is a money. It's also not widely accepted as a medium of exchange. That was in 2017. I don't think that's true any longer. Therefore, currency and transferable deposits are very similar and both meet the definition of broad money. See, that was a long way to correlate currency with transferable deposits. I mean, that's crazy. But I like it, though. I mean, these people they're not slow. This is the association of currency with money. They both can be used as a medium of exchange. This is currency and transferable deposits. They are immediately exchangeable on demand at par to acquire financial or non-financial assets. Both can be considered legal tender if the legal framework, like the Central Bank Act, indicates that currency is accepted for domestic transactions because of its status as legal tender. So there's legal tender laws. Let me get moving. I know let me get to the stuff. Finally, currency and transferable deposits earn no or low interest. Police, 12. The differences between currency and transferable deposits are also remarkable. They are often used by both sides of the debate on the pros and cons of decashing. Here we're getting good right here. Here's where we get good. First, currency can become technically obsolete. Banknotes fade and break, and the efforts to remedy the problem with plastics is of little help and involves unneeded costs. Transferable deposits do not have this problem. Second, payments with currency are anonymous, which makes them a vehicle for abuse, tax avoidance, terrorism financing, and money laundering. The demonizing currency. Transferable deposits are personified, and generally personified means it comes from a specific person and they can track it. and generally cannot be used for these purposes. Third, currency is prone to counterfeiting at times on a large scale. Transferable deposits are not. Fourth, currency is often perceived as a means to preserve privacy. This is where this thing starts getting good, man. Economic operators generally are not interested in the history of currency of their transactions. So, like, if you give me $5, I don't really care where it's been. I just know it's $5. Also, the individual right to privacy is usually enshrined in laws, and transferable deposits store each step of the payment history, which can be viewed as a threat to privacy. Transferable deposits lead to full transparency, at least to the issuing bank, and a complete record of the transaction, which in virtue of law can be used by tax and law enforcement authorities. Economic agents in any economy can be subdivided into 5 sectors: households, that's us; enterprises, that's me; financial intermediaries, the government, and the rest of the world. All of them are linked by accounting identities. In a simplified form, the linkages can be presented when used with transferable deposits versus with actual cash. Page my own. Let's keep it moving. This is, they're about to take away the cash. How does decashing enter into the simple framework? In the real sector, decashing would directly influence private consumption and private investment, generally by shifting the means of payments from paper currency to electronic means. The impact on the expenditure side will be mainly through reduced and even eliminated currency printing transaction costs. So that's on the public side. That's where they benefit. Where do we benefit? Monetary effects. The initial macroeconomic impulse of decashing would originate from a drop in demand for currency. This is what they're trying to say. But moving forward, they say decashing may help the transmission mechanism of monetary policy. Look, and they put it right in front of us. In principle, the transmission of monetary impulses from the policy rate simulation may become easier as all rates, money market, interbank, bank deposit, and lending may react faster to the changes in policy rate, as economic agents would have fewer non-interest-bearing assets in the form of saved currency. In particular, the negative interest rate policy becomes a feasible option for monetary policy if savings in physical currency are discouraged and substantially reduced. With decashing, most money would be stored in a banking system and therefore would be easily affected by negative rates, which would encourage consumer spending. You open your bank account, there's $5,000 in it. You check your bank account the next day, there's $4,900 in it. You didn't buy nothing. There was no payment that went through it, no automatic debit, nothing. That's due to the negative interest rate. They're charging you to store the cash in the bank. So they're looking for you not to store the cash in your bank so you can take the money out of the bank and put it into the economy to facilitate commerce, which is a public benefit. Private benefit would be, some real means of saving. And let me be clear. Saving in fiat currency only preserves the principal. We understand what principal is. If it's $100, if you save $100, you pull it out, it's still $100. But it does not preserve the purchasing power. So $100 10 years ago, a basket of goods that cost $100 10 years ago, today costs a little over $150. Same bananas, same milk, same eggs, same everything, but it costs more Federal Reserve notes to purchase these goods today than it did 10 years ago due to inflation on the currency, which they push in front of our face. We're looking to encourage consumer spending in a downturn economy when people aren't trying to spend. Moreover, currency has not been an efficient instrument for monetary policy, as most countries' currency is neither the largest part of money supply nor an efficient mechanism for providing liquidity. The amount of currency in circulation has no impact on inflation. You hear that? They're trying to tell you, even though there's a whole bunch of dollars in circulation, it has no impact on inflation. And there are no quantitative limits on banknote issuings of the central banks, which also suggests that currency has largely lost its role in monetary policy, in particular in developed countries. Please understand how they're saying that currency has lost its role in monetary policy. So this is from the standpoint of the banks, the central banks, so on and so forth. They're not speaking from the standpoint of, us. Let's just talk about that. Peep this out. The opposite scenario is also possible, in particular in developing countries with a large share of currency in money, where currency may have an impact on inflation. Even a small negative interest rate would likely result in a sudden jump in demand for cash, both during and after the period of negative interest rates. So they're looking to impose some sort of negative interest rates, and they're not trying to, allow you to alleviate the effect of those negative interest rates on your family, because you won't be able to go from bank deposit to cash. You can't withdraw your money out of the bank and hold it in cash, because there will be no cash. In this scenario, negative interest rates policies might be feasible only if cash and prepaid debit cards were eliminated. But even then, they would be highly controversial. Also, with negative interest rates, agents could move into other assets for storing value if domestic interest rates are largely negative. They're talking about other countries' currencies. So, maybe you can purchase other currencies. If you're in a cashless society, I doubt your country is going to allow you to purchase another country's currency and avoid their negative interest rates. It's not going to happen. Try it. After decashing, the banking system laden with fresh deposits would be able to boost lending. In countries where depositor base is weak, decashing would increase deposits as economic agents convert their currency holdings into convertible and other types of deposits with the banking system. Availability of deposits should, in principle, help reduce the lending interest rate and make credit more affordable. That's in principle. Therefore, increasing borrowing and contributing to growth. So the average American has less than $1,000 in savings. So they're looking to make money off interest. So they're looking to increase borrowing and other types of interest-bearing types of activities. Clearly, decashing is not the only instrument to lower the interest rates. Decashing is not the only instrument to lower interest rates. Remember that when they start throwing this stuff at us. Central banks can lower interest rates whenever they consider it desirable, as long as the zero lower bound is not binding. And ever when the zero bound is binding, banks would have excess liquidity. Banks' credit is also constrained by capital requirements and sound lending considerations. The only useful function of currency which can be lost with decashing is that demand for cash may help predict financial crises. Such crises usually happen when the general public loses confidence in banks and bank money and run into hard cash, erroneously viewed as a safe haven. Y'all hear this? I'm going to read it again. Such crises usually happen when the general public loses confidence in banks and bank money and run into hard cash, erroneously viewed as a safe haven. They're letting you know cash is not a safe haven, but it does allow you to get off of negative interest rates. The strong demand for cash in September 2008 reflected the panic that swept across most developed countries with the visible onset of one of the biggest crises in history. The rise in demand for currency, in particular for high-denomination banknotes, was mainly due to an increase in precautionary holdings by people concerned about the liquidity or solvency of financial institutions. So if you're concerned about the liquidity or solvency of a financial institution, if you're concerned about a bail-in, a bank bail-in, and you're dealing with a cashless society, I'll pray for you. However, it is not entirely clear whether decashing would eliminate the ability to see early warning signs. Basically, they're saying even though keeping a cash currency in circulation helps us be able to tell when there's a recession or some sort of economic crisis about to happen, it's not entirely clear whether taking the cash away would eliminate the ability to see early warning signs. I mean, what are you talking about? If the high demand for cash, banknotes, is indicative of a recession or a financial crisis, and you take cash out of circulation, how the hell can you say it's not entirely clear whether decashing will eliminate the ability to see early warning signs? Man, these people, man, I'm going to keep it moving, man. Because I was reading this and being like, what? Finally, let me see. I got some highlights in here. Should governments impose decashing without the general approval of... on the other hand, let me cherry pick. Decashing may have negative repercussions for private sector growth, as a substantial part of private investment, house construction, remodeling, and extensions, especially those financed by remittances, is settled in cash. Decashing may introduce disruptions in the well-established processes. Also, with the elimination of high-denomination banknotes, consumers will have to use an increasing number of lower-denomination banknotes to settle the same transaction, which will increase costs. Finally, should governments impose decashing without the general approval of the population, decashing may lead to social tensions, mistrust, walkouts. We're talking about walkouts, specifically like you work in a job and people just start walking out. That's what they're talking about. Walkouts that would, be problematic. Be problematic for people that own businesses. Where was he at? Demonstrations, and as a result, a loss in the gross domestic product. You got to understand, they run these countries are run like companies, man. You're looking at profits and gross domestic product and blah, 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 blah. On the demand side, decashing would affect both private consumption and private investment. While public consumption and investment are usually non-cash transactions, private consumption is strongly influenced by the amount of net disposable income. Man, I'm running out of time. People generally spend and consume more from the disposable income if they feel financially safe, therefore increasing demand for currency. As consumption spending by the private sector is an important gross domestic product component and is conducted in a significant part of paper currency, decashing may have a negative impact on it and somewhat hamper economic growth. Decashing most likely will not significantly affect public consumption and investment, but may create temporary hurdles for private consumption and investment. So if you're dealing with a company, so they decashed, right? And you got to get paid in a specific type of currency. Now they got to your job. Now they got to buy all this equipment that allows them to pay in this new type of currency. You got to get a new bank account. You might got to get a card reader or some sort of new type of technology so you can take part in this new cashless society. And that's what they're talking about right there. Moving forward, man, because I'm running out of time, the principal decashing should improve tax collection by reducing tax evasion. This is what we're talking about right here. Here we go. Woo. For example, in Sweden, with decashing, the government has benefited from more efficient tax collection because electronic transactions leave a trail. To the contrary, in countries like Greece and Italy, where cash is still heavily used, tax evasion remains a big problem. I wonder why, man. Greece and Italy got some of the worst. The banks is tripping over there. The inflation is crazy. The visibility of tax payments from transfers through banks can serve as a deterrent to tax underreporting and other evasion strategies. The magnitude of possible improvements in tax collection is hard to estimate. And why did that just turn off? Given the scale of cash-based tax evasion, one has to assume a fairly modest impact on behavior to generate a substantial increment to tax revenues. For example, the tax evasion in the United States, called tax gap, was estimated by the Internal Revenue Service at $458 billion on average in 2008 to 2010, which was released by the IRS in 2016. The major components of the tax gap are the underreporting of individual income tax, which they account for $264 billion of the $458 billion, and the underreporting of employment tax, which they account for $84 billion. If eliminating $100 bills meant to take a simple assumption that 10% of this gap will be collected, the additional tax contribution will be $35 billion a year. So, there's some more incentive for them. The balance on the primary and secondary income accounts will be affected mainly through income transfers. If decashing is based on distributed ledger-like technology such as Bitcoin, it can dramatically reduce the cost of international transfers, especially remittances intermediated by correspondent banks. As y'all know, the banks are already dealing in blockchain technology, Bitcoins, and such. They like them because it's cheaper for transacting across countries. The cost of sending an international remittance, however, is notoriously high, at about 8% the amount sent. In contrast, the cost with electronic money such as Bitcoin is estimated to be about 1%. And that's Goldman Sachs quoted that in 2014. Finally, decashing may reduce a very profitable impact on the balance sheet of payments of certain countries from the international circulation of national currency. Check that out. Okay, so here we go. We're about to get into the what I was excited to get into, which is the last 2 pages. Decashing may lead to increased financial inclusiveness. By construction, a shift from currency to transferable deposits would require people to have at least debit accounts with banks. Small businesses that would accept bank money would increase their profits, as most people would have easily accessible and reliable means of payments in the form at least of debit cards and potentially telepayments. Decashing should help reduce illegal migration. With less currency in circulation, employers that attract illegal immigration by cash payment would have fewer options to pay for their services off the books. Talking about it making it harder to pay coyotes to get, people across the border, all types of stuff. This is incentivized, especially if you're, looking at the current Republican Party in the United States. However, social implications of decashing can be substantial. Carrying cash is a human right. Peep this. And I gotta just point this out because I almost couldn't believe that they wrote this. The International Monetary Fund wrote this in this paper, man. And that's why they put the disclaimer on the front. But they printed it and put it on their site. Okay, because that's where I got it. Carrying cash is a human right and is written into constitutions, which therefore have to be changed. Man, I don't know how you feel about that. Social conventions may also be disrupted, as decashing may be viewed as a violation of fundamental rights, including freedom of contract and freedom of ownership. While convertible deposits cannot be stolen in a conventional robbery, they can be hacked. There are obviously concerns as the cases of electronic fraud have more than doubled in the past decade. Take that into consideration. They talking about constitutions need to be changed. I'm going to read that again. However, social implications of decashing can be substantial. You heard? So they understand this. And this is, why I feel like, I don't know if you've noticed, but if your bank doesn't have that thick bulletproof glass in front of the tellers, it will have it really soon. And if you haven't noticed now, you will notice in the future. I mean, this stuff is coming. Carrying cash is a human right and is written into constitutions, which therefore have to be changed. Social conventions may also be disrupted, as decashing may be viewed as a violation of fundamental rights, including freedom of contract and freedom of ownership. While convertible deposits cannot be stolen in a conventional robbery, they can be hacked. There are obviously concerns, as the cases of electronic fraud have more than doubled in the past decade. Decashing would remove tacit means of social support. In many developing societies, the government implicitly encourages small, unregistered entrepreneurship, which relies entirely on cash transactions with no or little formal accounting. By foregoing tax revenue, the authorities allow small businesses to create informal mechanisms of social self-support, which the government simply cannot afford to finance through formal social payments. At the same time, microfinance most likely will be more difficult, as it still relies largely on cash contributions. This is going to squeeze the middle class of any economy that is decashed, period. Microfinances, we're talking about small business loans, short-term business loans, venture capitalists, all types of stuff. A lot of stuff that a lot of us use to get out of the hole. Finally, currency substitution can become quite possible if there is not enough domestic currency, because the unmeasured pace of decashing, foreign currencies or surrogate currencies may start to be used for, quote, murky transactions. So they're worried about, you decash the society, say we ain't got U.S. Federal Reserve notes any longer. Now we're using Canadian notes and Mexican pesos to do murky transactions, to launder money, and to, buy drugs and stuff and sell drugs and contribute to terrorist activities. How many people are sending money overseas for that type of stuff? The private sector-led decashing seems preferable to the public-led sector. Individual independence would be very, very vulnerable. So they prefer a private-led sector decashing versus a public sector-led decashing. The public sector-led decashing seems almost entirely benign. Use of more mobile phones to pay for coffee, but still needs policy adaptation. The latter seems more questionable. And people may have valid objections to it. Decashing of either kind leaves both individuals and states more vulnerable to disruptions, ranging from power outages to hacks to cyber warfare. You got all your money tied up in the banking system, and the banking system gets hacked by the Germans or the Russians. All right, go to the bank and it's closed, and all this online bank. You know what I mean? You can't even talk to a person. I'm not in it. In any case, the tempting attempts to impose decashing by decree should be avoided. They're basically saying the government should avoid declaring a decashing policy by law. They're already letting you know. Given the popular personal attachment to cash, a targeted outreach program is needed to alleviate suspicions related to decashing. In particular, that by decashing, the authorities are trying to control all aspects of people's lives, including their use of money, or push personal savings into banks. The decashing process would acquire more traction if it were based on individual consumer choice and cost-benefit consideration. So let's say you're going to the store, you're going to buy groceries. Here's a cost-benefit consideration for that bootay. All right, you go to the grocery store, you're buying, bananas and, whatever you buy. Organic, seeded grapes, whatever, man. And you go to the register, and they're charging 10% fee if you pay in cash. So you're going to pay 10% more. So if it's $100, you're going to pay $110. But there's no fee if you use your debit card. And That right there is a consumer choice and cost benefits consideration. That's how they're going to do it. The macroeconomic impact of decashing would depend on the balance of its cost benefits, but most likely will still be positive on a net basis, positive for governments. All right? So there's cost to decashing. And I want to talk about the private sector. There will be disruptions. Substantial part of consumption, transaction, and private investments, in particular in housing, is made in cash. A lot of people pay their rent in cash. A lot of people, do that. Have cash, and a lot of people go to the post office, get money orders. They go to convenience stores. They run to Quick Trip. They run to Flying J, whatever, and they grab money orders to pay their, rents. Also, households and small private businesses may see carrying cash and conducting anonymous transactions as their constitutional right. Their discontent can lead to social tensions, strikes, and therefore gross domestic product losses. For the fiscal sector, decashing may represent a substantial financial burden, as additional capital and current expenditure will have to be made to procure equipment to manage cashless settlements. Additional spending will be needed for the training of personnel on cashless transactions, although part of these costs will be borne by the private sector. They're just saying, we ain't worried about it. We'll institute this, and, private businesses and so on and so forth, they have to do it because that's what it is. Losses in profit transfers are also possible. In the monetary sector, decashing may reduce central bank independence. So one bank goes down, the other one goes with it. With the lost seigniorage revenue, decashing would also deprive central banks of useful tool in the form of changes in the demand for cash, which has served as a leading indicator of possible financial crisis. There we go. Like people who want more cash and looking at it on a larger scale, you realize that, hey, man, here comes a recession. Check this out. If the poorest cannot have access to computers or mobile phones, they will lose the most important financial asset they rely on to stay, cash. So my people in the hoods and in the ghettos who can't afford a phone, who can't afford a computer is going to be, depending on the government for some sort of universal income, man, how do you get out of that? It's hard. It's really hard. As the decashing country has to import massive equipment needed to service cashless transactions and outsource decashing services to non-residents, the external sector will experience deterioration, at least on a temporary basis. Substantial groups of the population not yet familiar with digital payments may feel disadvantaged, which may lead to social strain. Think your grandparents, maybe anyone with a learning disability in your family, or, autism, cerebral palsy. This is going to leave a lot of people behind. Also, the tacit form of social protection used in many developing countries in the form of foregone tax payments will be largely eliminated and has to be replaced with more direct forms of social protections. Finally, if cash is still an important means of payment in the decashing country, currency substitution may become an issue, as economic agents will be forced to use other currency as a means of payment. Coordinated efforts, they're talking about by the central banks, Federal Reserve, the European Central Bank, the Bank of England, the Bank of Japan, so on and so forth. Coordinated efforts on decashing could help enhance its positive effects and reduce potential costs. In particular, important in the decision to phase out large denomination bills for all major currencies, to use ceilings and other restrictions on cash transactions, and to introduce reporting requirements for cash transactions or their taxation. For currency areas, and these are efforts that they're recommending. For currency areas, a single decashing policy would be clearly preferable to a national one. Finally, consensus between the public and the private sector and outreach on the advantages and modalities of gradual decashing should be viewed as key preconditions for its success. So we're already seeing that. I know Wells Fargo, a lot of these banks, they're putting restrictions on deposits. If you're doing a certain amount of a deposit in an account, they're going to ask for ID, even if you're not a signer on the account. They restrict deposits, cash deposits over a certain denomination. And, you know, these procedures and these policies are slowly being implemented. What is the big picture? The big picture is we have to look at negative interest rates. If there's no cash and you have to have your money denominated in a bank account, there can be an imposition of negative interest rates, which was going to force you to purchase things. If you don't know how to hold wealth in tangible asset form, you're going to purchase yourself into poverty. If you don't purchase things, you're going to save yourself into poverty. This is how this financial system is set up right now due to how they inflate the currency. But this way is going to be substantially different. If all your cash, all your savings is in these types of accounts, you're going to be subject to hacks. If decashing is implemented, our loved ones, our elderly, are disabled. Our brothers and sisters who was in prison for 10, 20 years who get out and don't know how to work a gas pump are going to be left behind with regards to this new monetary policy. They talk about social unrest. They talk about walkouts and strikes and stuff like that. And basically look for a coordinated effort between all these banks to restrict the use and transaction of cash. Because here it comes. And it's going to be great because they have laws with regards to bail-ins, because they already did a bailout in the last session. Now they're going to do a bail-in. You're going to check your deposit, and there ain't going to be nothing in there. Or there's going to be 60% less. And they'll be like, oh, we had to bail in, and, you know, the bank's almost went under, and blah, blah, blah. And this is what needed to happen. And, you know, these policies are beneficial to the public, but they are detrimental to the private. Real quick, we got 45 seconds left in the broadcast, 42. Calling number 424-222-5250. I will be going over. I don't know how much. If you're listening online, you will be cut off. If you're checking this on the archive, continue. So it's definitely something to think about. You know, they want to talk about terrorism and stuff. You know, even private, as my family has transitioned to, you know, doing business privately through trust. You know, my children have trust accounts. It's kind of difficult. It's not as easy as it was. You know, before I was private, when I was public, you know, my children, anybody needed money, I would just hand them cash. Whereas, you know, as I've gone private, there's less and less use of cash, you know. So it becomes more and more restricted due to the nature of the transactions. You know, it's business to business. And, you know, as a trustee, you have to substantiate these transactions. So, you know, doing business outside of cash is beneficial, and it's easier for the administration, the proper administration of, you know, my private estate. But, you know, there is a problem. It's, you know, it's harder, you know, if the bank isn't open and you got to do a transfer and say, you know, your loved one or one of your children are going out for the night, you don't want them to take the card or the debit card. You want, you know, transfer the money through the bank account, or, you know, wait until tomorrow. If there's maintenance, site maintenance on your bank where you transact, or, you know, they got some sort of, you know, hack, or, you know, who knows, you're not going to have access to your money, to your, you know, your cards aren't going to work. Get to where the cards don't work. And then we'll pretty much do anything to survive. We don't have any savings. We don't have any cash. Our cards don't work. Tell me what to do so I can feed my family. Oh, I got to go over there into this little fenced-in area that says FEMA on it. Y'all going to give me some food over there? All right. And I escort my entire family into this damn fenced-in area and subject to whatever they want to do, because why? Because I'm at their mercy. I have no money. I have no monetary value. And this is happening through, you know, they're nudging. It's being pushed forward ever so slightly and ever so slowly to achieve, you know, an overall goal. And that goal is to gain 100% control over our lives. Bottom line, what else is it? They're going to increase revenues. A cashless society increase revenues through taxation of the government. They're going to impose a tax requirement, and then they're gonna take the money out of your account, and then you're gonna have to fight to get it back. Basically, guilty until proven innocent. Similar to how PayPal does it. Anybody charge back on the PayPal just snatches the money. If it's not in your PayPal account, whatever account's connected, they're gonna snatch it out of there, and they're gonna hold it until they figure out whatever they figure out. You might get it back, you might not. I don't know. This is real, and this is important, and this is a big deal. And, I got something in the mail, for your security. Any deposit over $250 at Wells Fargo will not require an identification. I'm telling you. I got trustees who remember just last year where they were dropping thousands of dollars in trust accounts in cash just with a deposit slip. Now you can't even do that anymore. The restrictions are here. It's happening. The trade war is here. It's happening. Currency war is here. It's happening. The recession is here. It's happening. It's already evident in the credit markets. It's already evident by 70% of the stock gains are happening by companies. It's already evident by the only stocks that are being bought right now is by institutions, corporations buying their stock back, which was illegal. It used to be illegal. The SEC, they changed the rules. But the smart money is out. The smart money is dipping out of the stock markets. And you can't really tell because corporations are buying their own stock back. They got repurchasing programs and stuff. And it is what it is, I mean, I could talk forever. The bottom line is this does affect us. It's very important that we understand the implications of this. This stuff is not a game. And, I trust that, y'all are picking up what I'm putting down. So I'm going to take it to the phone lines here, and I'm going to close out. Because, I hope y'all got this. Download it, rewind it, listen to this over and over again. Sign up for the email list. Welcome to thefoundation.com if you haven't already, so you can get this paper. Otherwise, you can do a search for it on your own. You can, definitely verify all the information that I've gone over in this entire broadcast and check it out for yourself. Understand what the International Monetary Fund is. Understand what the Bank of International Settlements is. Understand how this happens when you have, central banks that are interconnected through international finance and contracts. So you have international bodies that deal with these types of transactions and banks and so on and so forth. And, they dictate the central banks. And this stuff trickles down to, your local bank and the policies thereof. So be on the lookout, be aware, it's coming, it's happening right now. Please pay attention. If you don't understand what I'm talking about, email me, admin@welcometothefoundation.com. I'll explain a little more. You can go to welcometothefoundation.com, book a consultation if you like, make a donation if you're feeling what I'm talking about. I very much appreciate those donations, man. I really do. It helps a lot, But with that being said, like I said, this is not a game. It's not a game. And, all of us are accepting Federal Reserve notes, cash, as a means of payment for the exchange of our labor. So this affects all of us. A lot of us may have savings accounts. A lot of us may have retirement accounts and the like that are denominated in currency, denominated in U.S. dollars and so on and so forth. So this is important to you. This affects you. This affects everybody. And, that needs to be known. And we need to understand not only what we're looking at, but also what to do. So I'm going to go to the phone lines, y'all. 424, never mind. Too late. You got anything? Just press 1 on your keypad if you're not familiar. I'm going to go to 216 area code. 216-2369. 216-2369. Peace. Which name are you calling from? 216. You might be muted. Check your mute button. 2369-216. Let's go to, I think Sister Yvette on here. Let's go to Sister Yvette. Peace, Sister. How you doing?
Peace, Brother Saul L. Peace, Kings and Queens community. Brother Saul L., I believe our people really need to understand it's getting critical out here. And I've been saying it for a minute, ever since early last year. When they made the FEMA camps weren't for the immigrants. That was the testing grounds for our people. When they started the chips under the skin, the mark of the beast, that wasn't for the testees. That was for us. Now, if y'all sisters and brothers ain't caught it, I'm going to give you another kicker. You see these so-called self-driving automated cars, and our FEMA camp owners, Walmart, we're trying to get these tractor trailers to be self-driving, self-manual. However, those tractor trailers are for us because they're going to be loading us up. So I'm going to tell you something, community. If you can't hear, you're going to feel. Another thing with these banks, and I'm going to put some of these banks on blast. Yes, Wells Fargo does have a limit to how much you put in daily. Chase Bank is the biggest one at the top of the list. You can only do 6 transactions a month. Anything else over that, they charge you $5 for each transaction. They will not allow you to put past a certain amount daily. And once you hit 6 transactions, that's a wrap until the following month. Yes, they are limiting how much money we put away. So, my brothers and my sisters, you need to get some tangible assets. And it is not those fake Federal Reserve notes that can burn, disappear, get lost, have no value or whatever. You better start getting some precious metals, and you better start stacking them. And another thing about that, be careful because they have a limit on those now. So, community, wake up because it's real. Because you can't wear all these name brands, designers, all this fancy gear in the camps that they getting ready to put us in. Wake up, community, because it's real now. They are not playing with us. They had enough. For y'all who are not reading contracts and understanding what this government is getting ready to do, if you can't hear, you're going to feel. My brother, in the private on Sunday, be blessed. Peace, community. Peace, kings and queens.
Thank you very much. Always coming in. Yep, these banks are tripping. I saw this European dude on YouTube trying to pay his mortgage with cash. Yo, they called the police on that dude. He was mad, man. Yo, that's the thing. When I'm convinced when these Europeans, like middle class and low class Europeans, find out what's going on, man, it's gonna go down. It's gonna get ugly. Like, y'all know what I'm talking about. Anybody who's ever been around like a European dude when he's drunk, or been around some of these people, you know, especially the country Europeans, man, it's gonna go down. It makes me wonder, like, I'm not even gonna say it. Because, man, I ain't gonna say it. All I'm saying is, yo, this stuff is happening. Bottom line is, there's over $60 trillion of debt in the United States. I don't care what the Fed is talking about. I don't care what the government is talking about, because they don't include certain things. If you include mortgages, government debt, T-bonds and stuff, corporate debt, student loan debt, which the government counts as a positive on their books, and credit card debt, it's over $60 trillion. I mean, something's got to happen. If you understand market, you understand currency, you understand this stuff, man, look, it's going to happen. These fools are talking about 2 to 3 years. I don't think it's going to take that long. A lot of people are talking about next year. Might not take that long either. I know it's already happening. We're already slipping down the slope. And it is what it is. I'm trying, man. Look, I go hard, so I want to sleep well. I don't want to be thinking, what if, could I have helped more people, and, so on and so forth, man. That's not a way to live. This stuff is serious. Next caller, who we got? Who we got? I'm gonna try 216 2369. You figured out 216. You there? Peace. All right, then. I'm gonna go to who is this? This is my guy. Is this Daryl?
Hey, so L, how you doing? Peace.
I'm doing well. How you doing?
How's everything? I'm all right. Just listening to the show, on my way in, But everything's okay?
Everything's gravy. Everything is great.
That's good.
I like saying that word gravy. It means something in the industry. But yeah, man, I have no complaints. Everything's good with you?
Yeah, everything's good with me. I'm just lining things up so I can speak to you more often. I'll let you know when that happens. And I'm going to let you take the next caller, and you always stay safe and you stay strong, all right?
Absolutely, man. Appreciate you, man. Love you. Take care of yourself.
You too. I love you too. All right. You too.
All right, family. Peace.
All right, peace.
All right. Let me holler at my guy. Biggity Brian from the Bay. Check out the noise he makes. Trying to get to the phone.
What is good, my man?
Hey, peace, family. How you doing?
All right. You're just here to support, listen to the show. And, like you saying, you putting all this information out here, and I appreciate it. And like the feedback said, you just doing what you're doing, trying to bring a good comment to you by putting this information out. And people gotta understand, and I'm understanding you gotta understand you're gonna be responsible for yourself, or you're gonna let these people take control of it. Everybody always like, I'm in control of myself, but you're not making the right decision as far as like trying to get into the process of even, finding something that you could commerce with, as far as like going back to bartering if we have to. So if you got some type of skill, I'm trying to learn how to grow stuff and trying to, when I get time after dealing with the stuff I'm dealing with, but I'm trying to learn how to grow. So maybe I have some type of ability to have something that doesn't have to relate to only this so-called money, where it really is fiat. And then, like you said, start looking at the stuff that is considered valuable. Might be pictures from that you could go get art exhibited, or just go get, even the funny thing is, I hate to say it, even with people, they got these nice cars. So realizing that these old classic cars is going to be valuable, so instead of worrying about getting a new gear, start looking at stuff that you might be able to use later on, that you could be able to use when it comes down to it. Because, like you said, I see it because they were talking about in what's it called, in China, that they messed up a whole dude. A dude was like talking bad about, like, I think it was China, or he was talking, he's a reporter, and they made, it's like everything based off of credit over there, or it's getting to that point. And then he got hemmed up because he couldn't go nowhere because they made his credit score go down. And it's like, well, you can't get on the train, you can't get on this. So they got to control you, and you got to understand this credit and all this stuff is just meant to control people. And they all got you thinking that this is real, and they could just print it at any time or make a bunch of zeros on the computer, then that's what's going to happen. So if you get that tangible stuff, like you said, then you're going to be able to, dictate what goes on. And so that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get, the tangibles and all this stuff, so I want to deal with this, these issues, try to help others if I can, like you're doing out here. So that's all I got to say, man. I appreciate what you're doing. And, I'll talk to you on the other side.
All right, man. Yeah, appreciate you. Absolutely right. It's all, we don't save in cash. We don't save in currency. They can implement that stuff all day. It's not really, doesn't necessarily have to affect you, man. Appreciate it, man. I'll talk to you soon. Peace.
All right, man. Peace.
All right, I think this is my guy Capitone, and then I'm out. Oh, what happened? Oh, blowing talk. All right, 804-4038. 804-4038. Peace. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Peace. This is Brother Robert from Richmond, Virginia.
Oh, peace, man. How you doing?
Good, bro. Good. How you doing, man? You dropped some science on there tonight.
Oh man, yeah. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, man. It's overwhelming, you know. I guess the biggest thing you made me think about was there seemed to be a move to really let the public dominate over the private. When you're reading that part about the effects of the Constitution and, you know, how this affects private contracting and all. So,
yeah.
That's a huge feat, man.
There's a lot of implications in that paper. But yeah, I mean, yeah, the public domination of private activities. I mean, they're gonna know everything, regulate everything, be all in the business.
Yeah, and then we were, like for me, for example, you know, I'm still pretty new to understanding the private and always operate in the public, and so this just seemed to make it more confusing, you know, if and when they are able to, you know, make all this type of stuff happen.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's already happening. They're just doing it slowly because they have to, because they're not trying to cause, you know, unrest of the people. So it's going to be, you know, cloak and dagger. Like I said, look for, you know, cash tax at like local businesses and restaurants and stuff like that. I feel like that's where we're going to see it starting first. You know what I mean? Corner store, stuff like that. I know there's some spots where you use a credit card or debit card, they charge you an extra 3%. Well, look for that to transfer on to cash and to the cards, right, or bank cards to be, you know, to be no fee.
Right, and you know, I tuned into you recently, and I don't know if you ever talked about or know the connection between. And I know the sister mentioned those chips, but you know, I know they put the chips in the cards.
In the pass, and they put them in the cards. They put them in the passports. Yeah.
So, do you know the connection between that at all? Or?
It's biometrics and tracking. So it's a RFID chip. So it's a radio frequency identification chip. So they got these radio frequency receivers and emitters all over. We can't even recognize them. And I point that out because, you know, I know there's a lot of cell towers in the desert in certain municipalities. When these companies put cell phone towers in the desert, they got to hide them or try to make them fit in with the landscape. So you see a lot of big-looking cactuses and stuff like that looking out of place. Those are cell towers. And, you know, they do the same thing with the RFID joints. You know, as soon as you walk into a certain spot that, you know, it has that stuff enabled, they know exactly who you are and where you are the whole time. So think of like an embassy or an airport or something like that. Even in a commercial district. You know, a lot of cities, their commercial districts are downtown. You know, carrying a certain type of identification. I mean, you know, who's to say what's going on? So yeah, I mean, passports have been chipped. A lot of states chip their IDs. Like there's this new ID Act, federal level or something like that. Yeah, I mean, all this stuff is happening simultaneously. Yeah, absolutely.
So they read it. So they read it regardless of whether you swipe it. Then that's the point. Oh
yeah. And then they're like, you know, it's for security because it helps for, you know, deter counterfeiting. But at the same time, like it's a radio frequency identification. So that radio frequency is being transmitted and translated, and what is on that. Like, we never see that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, and on top of that, as long as you have that in your pocket or in your bag, anytime you walk past one of those things, it's going to register. It's kind of like those places or something on Facebook. I think they were doing that. Like, if you walk in, it's like geotagging. So if you're in a geographical area, and your phone has this ability, as soon as you walk in, it gives people alert that you're there. It notices your social media, where you're at, and stuff like that. I mean, it's all across the board. It's all across the board. It's everywhere. We're just not looking for it. But once you look for it, you see it everywhere. As soon as you start looking for it, it's all right there.
Yeah, we don't understand the impact, so glad you bringing it out. I just wanted to chime in, bro. I'll go ahead and let you take another call.
All right, man. Appreciate you, man. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, you too, bro. All right, peace.
All right, peace. With my guy Mello, Blog Talk, Acting Real Fellow. Blog Talk, Acting Off Schedule. Mello. Tone.
Indeed, reported live and direct from Planet Alabama, or should I say, in native tongue, Alabama. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's truly beautiful though, bro. And you was right. And that's I tuned in like in the midsection, but I'm gonna go back. And, you know what I'm saying, the archives as well. You know, but at the same time, I was on the lunch break. You know, and I'm in the truck, and I switched on the frequency. You know, I be tuning in a little bit to the political, you know what I'm saying, rhetoric here and there. But they had the introduction, the interruption, you know what I'm saying, and Trump came on, you know what I'm saying. So I got a little bit in when he was speaking about they doing business with the European nation, and the European nation guy called him by his first name. He said, Donald. If you see that out, I was like, look at this here, man. Like Donald, yes. And, you know, they plan on investing in more soy. So you got to look at soy. What that means for us, we got to be careful in this, man. So you know what soy does to the harmonic, you know what I'm saying, male testosterone, you know what I'm saying, chemical makeup. So first and foremost, we got to be very careful that these Europeans talking about investing and other nations going, you know what I mean, in soy, because it's very profitable. So we're looking at economical value. You know what I'm saying, and other things too, and they big into energy. So we got to be very aware, like you said, what's going on, and like we said, you know, control, you know what I'm saying, own nothing but control everything. But check how they doing it. You know what I'm saying, chips, installment, control the accounts, controlling the amount of transactions, and how much you can limit and put in. You know what I'm saying, and whatnot. And check this out, it's all about keeping track. If you can track something, you can control it. So, you know, GPS, location, databases, and data devices. You know what I'm saying? It's all a part of keeping track, which in turn relations, you know, deals with keeping things in control. You know what I'm saying? Keeping things organized, so to speak.
I can hear you, but I can't really hear you. Because you coming in real choppy, family. Yeah, you coming in real choppy. Connection.
Let me take out the Bluetooth then. That would have made it female. Hold on.
All right, bet. Can you hear me? Can you hear me better?
Oh yeah. Don't ever call in with that Bluetooth ever again, please, family.
bet. It could be. I'm on 6% lifeline too. On the battery outside, I'm in the back, you know what I'm saying? I just take down, but it's beautiful,
it's
man.
It's the Bluetooth.
No.
No, that's that Bluetooth.
Okay.
Now you sound
that's
great.
That too.
Yeah, you never sounded clearer.
Great.
I don't think you ever sounded clearer. Yeah, but I'm with that. Yeah.
Connection, though,
Yeah,
no,
absolutely.
Keeping track. That's crazy.
Yeah, tracking is a big thing. Tracking is what it's all about.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So, I mean, that's a great point. You know, that's a great point, actually. So, yeah
man. That soy disturbs me, though. So, you know, if they big, you know, he was like, yeah, we're looking into, you know, buying more soy, and, you know what I mean? Because the thing is, it's an issue of some pertaining to, you know, I'm paraphrasing here roughly about the soy, you know what I'm saying, and the transaction between the European nation and others, but it's something about the Brazilian soy. It's something about they holding theirs back and demanding more. You know what I'm saying? So You know, the Europeans plan on, you know what I'm saying, mainly shopping elsewhere. You know, they want to go. They coming to the U.S. You know what I mean? They coming over and doing things, man, and so to speak.
Oh, man,
you know what
I'm glad you said that. Yo, the Chinese investment has dropped. Yo, Chinese investment. They've been investing like billions since like 2008. It's down to the millions like recently. They're pulling back. That's part of the trade war too. Money's coming out.
Right.
Like I'm hearing there's cats in London that had their properties on the market for over a year and ain't nobody's buying. Chelsea neighborhood, like really Cheshire neighborhood, like really good and nice neighborhoods out there. So I mean, this is it's all connected, man. All of it.
It really is. Agriculture. I mean, we gotta look at agriculture. Like, man, if you ain't growing your own thing, if you ain't taking use of that little space in your backyard, I mean, it's like you may not have it at the point, and you're trying to get to it, but it's what you got where you at right now, and this is serious, bro. I mean, self-sustainability is serious. Many cats can't say they can go in the backyard and actually put down and I can put 20 over here, tomatoes over here, peppers over here, yada, 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 so to speak, and then maintain, you know, I'm having something to work with. And then actually my man doing it on the other side, I can beg and borrow with him. You feel me?
That's a requirement. I feel like if you own property and ain't growing nothing, I can go outside right now and get raspberries, strawberries, cucumbers, all types of stuff out of my yard. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
if you can't do that, I feel like, man, I got basil, I got all types of stuff out there, man. So it's like,
man, give respect to the land, man. All right.
You got to do that. If you got land, you ain't doing that.
That's
you got to do that. People, they're worried about grass and stuff because of how it looks. Ooh, it's all green. You like my grass? Like, man, shut up. Right. I got no berries over there. Right. Why I care about your grass for? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it all makes sense. Like sustainability. Like it's not just monetary metals. It's not just, you know, tangible assets. It's water. Like they got this, what is it called? It's a water straw. It's life straw. Life straw. LIFESTRAW. Look that up. Get that thing. Everybody should have one of those, man. Like straight up. They got a big one. They got a little one. You can get it on Amazon. Like straight up. I mean, that's for water. It purifies water. Standing water, whatever, up to like so many thousand gallons or something like that. You got to check it in out. You got to get food. You know, non-perishable
So it goes
food.
through a carbon filtration. Interesting. Wow.
It goes, they got some sort of film or something. Man, it's huge. That thing is, you know, you just don't hear about it mainstream. What else? Hey, what's going to be really in demand if any of this stuff pops and, you know, you go, grocery stores is closed and stuff, toilet paper and ground coffee.
Right.
It's going to be money. It's going to be money. Please believe.
Ooh.
That's going to be money. You want, man, I feel like that might be in higher demand than gold or silver. At least at a certain point, you know. I mean, look at Venezuela. Come on, man. Because look, and I know because I got relatives that was in the wars, Vietnam and stuff, especially Vietnam. I got older OGs that I'm in my family that I'm talking to because they're on their way out. And they were saying, man, look, coffee over there and cigarettes was money. Straight up. It's like how in prison, like cigarettes is money and candy bars is money and stuff. Like it depends on the scenario and the situation. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I feel like being smart about it is ultimately the way we want to go.
I definitely believe that, man. I believe that. I already found out. So, you know, on the way to obtain the island is to burn the boat.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's it.
There were some generals that did that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They ordered their soldiers to burn the boats, burn the ships.
Right.
We either gonna make this or not. You know what I'm saying?
That's it. I mean, that's final. That's it. I mean, that's it. That's when you know that you came for what you came for. The purpose is here, and that's it. So I'm saying, burn the boat. Like what? Burn the boats. Burn. You know, it's all good. You know, I was just checking out different theories though, and applying different things in different measures in different ways. You know what I'm saying, through the daily. You know, like that theory you know what I'm saying, about, you know what I'm saying, the one monkey that, the female monkey that was, I believe it was somewhere in one of these, it was I'm not sure if it was Asia, Japan, or somewhere, but it was the monkey that was actually going and getting the fruit, and the fruit had grit, you know what I'm saying, a whole bunch of stuff on it, whatnot, you know what I'm saying, but it developed it, you know what I'm saying, the intelligence to go over and, you know what I'm saying, grab it, go wash it off, while the rest of them weren't doing it. They was grabbing it, gnawing shit with it, you know, grit, you know what I'm saying on it, whatnot, but, you know what I'm saying, nah, but that one, you know what I'm saying, that one, she went over there and went and washed that thing off, and then actually did another one, you know what I'm saying, started coming to it, then so forth, and then it just took place, you know what I'm saying, by way of just, you know what I'm saying, demonstrations like that, so to speak, but, you know, that took place, and, you know, that intelligence was laid down, man, and that's just something that we have to recognize, and it's that critical, looked at as far as referred to as critical mass, you know what I'm saying, that critical mass, you know what I'm saying, participation, you know what I'm saying, we all started to recognize that, you know what I'm saying, it's better this way.
Yeah, trustfully.
You know what I'm saying?
Trustfully.
You know? Yeah, man.
Well, man, good. I appreciate you calling in, man. I'm about to get up out of here, family.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Indeed. Due diligence is time. You know what I'm saying? I know it, man. I know it. That's that holy breath, man. It's that holy breath, bro. You know what I'm saying? You've been blowing on them. So, yeah, like always, true indeed. You know what I'm saying? Gratitude and honor to you, bro. You know what I'm saying? All the way down, you know what I'm saying? From the creator, ancestors, forefathers, and whatnot, and everyone else. And, you know what I'm saying? So is yourself. You know what I'm saying? So, with that being said, you know, we know what we want. It's all great. Full moon, where I'm at. You know what I'm saying? Much love. And we're gonna speak on the other side too, bro, as well. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause I got some change that took place. So maybe we can work with something, do something on something else. But we'll see what the biz is, what it is, man. And you know, peace to the guy, man. Peace to the guys.
Peace to the guys, man. Appreciate you calling in, man.
Indeed.
All right, that's it. Y'all know me. Check this out, though. I'm running I'm running a special, and not because I know people need it. So I'm running a special with trustee training. Email me, admin@welcometothefoundation.com, and ask me about it. You know, if you stuck around to the end of this show this far, there you go. Email me. We'll talk about it. Otherwise, let's get into this. It's getting real, and I want people to understand that, you know, the calls are being made. And like I said, poverty screams while wealth whispers. So, you know, I don't know if I'm screaming or whispering, or maybe I'm doing a little bit of both. But the thing of it is wealth comes in a lot of forms. So as you understand that these policies are taking place, we need to convert our paper wealth, our fiat currency wealth, and other stores of wealth. And please believe, some people can't buy gold. Buy silver. Silver is really cheap. You can get an ounce of silver for about $19 right now. If they want more than 19, ask them why. That's an ounce of silver. Is it going to be this low forever? Absolutely not. Everyone is calling for silver to be out of here and never reach the levels it's at right now. The reason why it's being held so low, I feel like they're giving the insiders time to get out, because here it comes. And it's so significant, they want to give people enough time, which is good for us if we know what's going on. Also, economic downturns. Be smart. Maybe you don't have too much money. You don't have too much gold. Maybe you don't own property, but you can't buy toilet paper. That's going to be money. You can't buy coffee grounds. That's going to be money. Anything that you can do to alleviate the stress of a potential situation is what is required of you to do. Understand what money is. Understand who money is. With that being said, I appreciate y'all. Welcome to thefoundation.com. Go get your learn on, make a donation, schedule a consultation, sign up for the email list, check out some PDFs, find some of the, archived shows on the YouTube channel, all that. Welcome to thefoundation.com. Email me, admin@welcometothefoundation.com. If you have any questions, comments, I suggest you hit me up about trustee training. It's time to go private. It's time to get established, straight up. And on top of that, these types of policies are going to continue to become more and more prevalent. And there's going to be a day when we wake up and if we didn't make a move, it's going to be too late. And I'm not a gloom and doom type person, but I see the writing on the wall. So y'all pay attention, stay vigilant, stay diligent, and, you know, understand it's all about the last name. If we ain't taking care of family, what are you doing? Go around the corner. Go to sleep. And we need to be taking care of ourselves, loving ourselves. Quit smoking cigarettes. Quit drinking liquor. You know, quit doing things that are detrimental to your health. It makes you feel better. And it starts to change your life. With that being said, I love y'all. I'm about to sign off. Y'all take care of yourself. Enjoy your week. I'll check you next week. Peace to the gods, as well as, you know, peace to the goddesses. You know, gods, man, yo, we the highest life form on this earth. You know? Am I lying? We're the highest form of life on this earth. So, you know, when it comes to this natural situation, this natural plane, this physical plane, I'm not saying I'm God above the earth. You know, we are all individual gods. So peace, God. Peace, goddess. I love you. I appreciate you. And I'll check you out next week here on The Foundation.
High Frequency Radio.